Good evening, ma'am.
Ma'am, you are muted.
Yes, rivers and lakes are always interesting and commercially important.
Pre-primary सी feeling आ रही मुझे मेरे क्लास में बैठ के बच्चे चौकोस खा रहे No, pre-primary is like this. They open their tiffin and they start eating. There is no concept of short recess like. मेरे को भूख लगी थी मम्मी ने खाना दिया था मैं खा रहा हूँ. It's very logical for them. Yes, question.
Rivers and lakes are always interesting and commercially important to people who live near them. Describe some of the ways in which people living close to a lake or a river use it to their advantage commercially.
मतलब तू ऐसे पढ़ रहा है ना कि कुछ पल्ले ही नहीं पढ़ रहा है कुछ lake and use and man ऐसा मतलब nothing is registering. This is what? This is an essay.
Ma'am, he's writing a question.
कि तू ऐसे पूरा पढ़ रहा है क्या कर रहा है कॉम्प्रिहेंशन पैसेज पढ़ रहा है
Question.
This is what topic essay
Yes.
essay का इतना बड़ा क्वेश्चन है
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, पूरे 4 लाइन का क्वेश्चन.
How I spent my summer vacation essay
नहीं मैम इतना बड़ा नहीं है. Ma'am, important
the season I adore the most
of rivers and lakes.
Sit down. So how many of you have done the homework? Oh, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 3 out of 16 का percentage क्या है? Shaurya, you have done? Shaurya Mehta, have you unmuted? Am I audible? Okay. Akanksha, have you done?
Yes, ma'am. I have. Yeah, I have done the homework.
एक और बंदा होता था ना शौर्य आकांक्षा है
Swastika.
Swastika is not there today. Okay. Akanksha, homework is not done, beta.
Ma'am, I've done the homework.
So have you done the essay?
Yes, ma'am. I've done in the last class only.
No, that was another topic. This is another topic.
Yes, ma'am. I've done today's homework.
You've done okay. Who's reading the essay in the class? What was the word limit?
405 words.
405 words.
Shaurya, how many words have you written?
Ma'am, I'll have to count. Should I count?
Yes. Akanksha, how many words have you written, beta?
Ma'am, I also have to count it. I'll count it.
What is that boy's name? The one who's sitting behind Ishmael? Pratik, how many words in your essay, beta? 300. We have to write 403.
405.
So we have to write 403. You have also written, na? Then teacher will also not be able to give the marks. You have also done the essay, no? The boy sitting ahead of Ishmael. Park. You have done? How many words? Who else has done the essay? What is his name? Mohammed. Qasim. Generally Mohammed. You have Khan. Your surname is Khan. Then Mati. Mati. M-A-T-E. Mahate. Mahate. How many words? आपका reason for not doing the homework?
टॉपिक को 4 बार चेक किया. More than 100 versions.
मेरी फोकस को अजीब तरीके से कह रहा है यार टेस्ट की तैयारी कर रहा है तो मतलब यूपी वालों को बोलूं मैं कि टेस्ट वेस्ट जो है क्या करो कब रखो प्लीज टेस्ट रखो लेकिन स्कूल के भी निकल जाइए यूनिट टेस्ट आ रहे हैं स्कूल का भी टेस्ट आएगा लेटर भी करना है I know so when is it best for you to have the UP test?
Sunday
नहीं
स्कूल के भी
यूनिट टेस्ट है ना
ये वीक की है उसके बाद जो चैप्टर डाल दिया
I should give you less homework.
No, only this week you have back after that you have clear.
So today I should give less homework.
Yes,
A bit less. So we will do then more work in class.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give me that cooperation?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? We'll do fatafat in class so that I don't have to give it for homework. Yes, yes. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
How many words, beta?
Ma'am, mine is 302
Ma'am,
words.
it's 400 words. 400.
But Akansha, we have to write 402 words. You have written 300. You're 100 words short. Shaurya, yours?
400.
Mine is 280. 280. Mine is 280.
Then मुझसे सुना
Mine is 280.
not word name, word limit, not
This is
text.
very right.
Yes. So I think only Shaurya has met the word limit. Shaurya? Word limit is met, no? Shall we hear?
Ma'am,
the
I have
rest?
written 400 words.
That's fine, now 403 we have to write. They have to written 300. Shall we hear his essay then? Shaurya, please start.
Ma'am, your voice is cracking at my end. Can I rejoin?
Okay. Pratik, how many words? Parth, how many words?
280.
That is also going to come in the exam.
15 to 20 months.
What was the other homework we had to do?
Little
I know why the cage bird sings. Textbook exercises.
Pransha, first question. I will have to start separating you people if you don't stop talking. Akansha, page number
Ma'am, page number 139.
139. What is on it? Samya. Udaya. The first question is paraphrase. Who has written a good answer? Yes, Pratik, please start. Yes, start.
The poet was an African-American poet and celebrated activist. The poet was when that
Pratik, I think you need to hold the book in your hand because your voice is not clear.
American poet and civil rights activist. The poem was written in civil rights era and law, and that faced many restrictions in the society. The poem brings the dilemma faced by the
Shaurya, I have to no, Kushagra, I have to shift you behind now.
oppressed people related to race, gender, slavery, and freedom.
And this verse,
मैम बड़ी तो पूरा chapter का लग रहा
incomplete
है.
है. Incomplete है. You have to cover all the lines. If you keep that emotion, you will cover all the content. Who is referred to as the free bird in the poem?
The white.
Why?
And because they are free, independent, and they can pursue their dreams and equality.
Ma'am, I have written this answer.
Yes, beta.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the free bird in the poem refers to the whites who are free from any oppression.
1 minute. Pratik, can you sit apart? Can you sit behind Pratik?
Why?
Because you're talking to them.
And they are talking.
Okay, you go behind them. Yes, Akanksha.
Yes, ma'am. The free bird in the poem refers to the whites who are free from any oppression. They can do anything they want and think that they are the rulers of the world. They can pursue their dreams and get more and get many new opportunities. They can live the way they want, just like the free bird.
Good, Akanksha. Now who is talking? Telling is talking only, no?
I'm telling you.
Let's have all of you, one child on a bench. Do it fast. Shaurya, you have written paraphrase.
Ma'am, I've not done that homework actually.
You were
I've
not
written
present
the
for
essay, but I've not.
You were not present for the explanation of the poem, beta.
Ma'am, I was there.
Then why you have not done?
Ma'am, actually, I did not have the time. I was
You were
supposed to do it.
present, but you have not done. Who's that? But one only on a bench. Who's that? Now also can we have crisscross? Beta, you have to shift one of you.
I don't understand.
You have to shift the side. You have to shift the side. This I'm not doing for anything more for that corona that is spreading so much. People are not even wearing masks. They are sitting close to each other. The poem ends on an optimistic note. Shaurya, you understood the meaning of this question? Okay. Who has written? Kushagra? Okay. You? How many have done the homework? Please raise your hand. How many have done the homework? Please raise your hand. तो मैं किसका homework check कर रही हूँ?
Ma'am, I have written this answer.
Yes, Akanksha, you are the only one who has done the homework. Please read your answer.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the poem ends at an optimistic note that the hopes and wishes of the cage birds are heard. Someone from a far distant hill has heard his song and soon will come to free him from this prison of cage.
Nice, Vita, but very short. We have still not done the Patriot.
No, ma'am.
Shall we?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the Patriot is a poem wherein the protagonist is talking to us. First, he is explaining to us how the town gave him a very warm welcome. They were very pleased with his return. Almost like he has won a war, done something great, because they're showering him with flowers. Everyone has come to the terrace to see him. Then, when the paragraph changes, he is telling us what is happening now. exactly 1 year from that day, he has committed so many crimes that he has gone to court and a judgment has been passed that he should be beheaded. Tab gardan kaatte the. He should be beheaded. So he is walking to the guillotine, the place where all that is kept for his head to be cut. So again, there are a lot of people on the road, but now they're not throwing flowers. What are they throwing? Stones. And he's bleeding, and it's raining, and his wrists are tied, and it's bleeding. You know, so he's painting that kind of picture. Very important is the last paragraph in which he says that God will bless me even though humans have not understood me, my people have not understood me. It is God who will do my justice. Now, why this sentence is very important, Akanksha? Because it shows that he is not guilty. It is almost as if his deeds have been misread, misinterpreted. Yes? अरे मरता हुआ आदमी अगर ये बोल रहा है कि भगवान मुझे स्वर्ग में जगह देगा, मतलब वो गिल्टी है कि उसने कोई गलत काम नहीं किया है, वही तो बोल रही हूँ मैं. Okay, so the fact that he is saying that God will do justice and he will give me a place in heaven, that means he is not guilty of having done anything wrong. Clear? Yes, ma'am. Now, what is the poet's message to the people? That people, public, is fickle-minded. They change. A year ago, they were so ecstatic, they wanted to give the sun to him. Now they are so horribly upset with him that killing him, murdering him, beheading him is not sufficient. They want to do more. Chalo, patthar bhi marenge. Itna kya ho gaya? Let's read the poem. Ishmi, start. About your.
Robert Browning was a famous poet of the Victorian age. This poem is written in the form of a dramatic monologue where a man who is being led to the gallows is recounting his story. The speaker recalls that exactly a year ago, he had been led down this very street with crowds of people cheering him and scattering torches in his path. He was a hero being welcomed by adoring fans.
Wait, Ishmi. Sit. What is a monologue?
Single person continues to deliver.
Yes, because if two people are talking, it's a dialogue. When it's a single person, it's a monologue. एक ही आदमी बोल रहा है. So underline monologue and write the meaning. You can use this in your answers. Where is the answer sheet? Attendance sheet? Sorry. Anyone else who has to still answer? Who is Sam in this class? तो साइन किसने किया? सैम. Oh, Sam. और भैया इधर आकांक्षा और शौर्या है, वो तीसरी वो स्वास्तिका नहीं है ना. So you have written the meaning of monologue. Now we are moving on to gallows. Let me draw and show you what are gallows. So this is wood. And this is metal. Blade with a chain on top. ये चेन को कट करता है. ये ब्लेड यहाँ पर गिरता है, पर्सन का मुंडी. हमें गेम में था ग्रैनी. So ग्रैनी में था. So there are three words in the poem I want to tell you. So this is guillotine. This is guillotine. This is the gallows. And this is on a stage, correct? It's on a raised platform जहाँ ये पूरा ड्रामा चलेगा. This is the shambles. साथ साथ में बोला मत करो ना प्रतीक, चुपचाप सुनो. This is the shambles. This is the guillotine. This whole thing is the gallows.
Including the stage.
including the
On the stage.
no, the wood part and the blade is the gallows. On the stage, shambles. Clear? क्योंकि यही एक confusing part है poem में और बाकी सब clear है. Shall we continue? Shaurya, are you able to understand?
Ma'am, can you explain gallows again?
So ये जो wooden part है ना, जहाँ पे मुंडी रखा जाता है, where the person is put, that is
Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
that is guillotine, correct? Not gallows. That is guillotine. The person who made the design, his surname was Guillotine. So that's why this is guillotine. Then this whole thing is the gallows. So he was convicted to be sent to the gallows. The people were standing at the shambles, at the foot of the shambles to see what is happening. This was the highlight of their life. TV नहीं था तब, drama नहीं था, radio नहीं था. So this was the entertainment for them. पेड़ से लटका दो, पत्थर मारो, गर्दन काट दो, हाथ काट दो, जिंदा जला दो. औरतों को तो जिंदा जलाया जाता था. शिदोविच, हाँ, वो कौन था बेचारा? Copernicus. He said Earth is round. Galileo said the Earth is moving around the sun. So you are Satan. You are against the church. Church बोलता है कि everything is moving around the earth, and you are saying something against the church. You are anti-God. You are Satan. बांधो इसको रस्सी से, जिंदा जलाओ. किया उसको ऐसा? इसको किया ऐसा? Galileo को? He was burnt alive. See the movie Joan of Arc. Joan, Joan of Arc, ARC.
मैम कहाँ पे नेटफ्लिक्स पे
हे भगवान.
YouTube पे सर्च का
प्लेट का अलग नाम नहीं है. बुलेटिन, the whole equipment gallows, on the stage shambles. अब नहीं रिपीट करूंगी, बस हो गया. इसमें चल.
A year later, he has been tried, convicted, and is being led away to put to death. How should this public adulation?
Adulation means admiration.
And how it will his praise and glory. A year ago, Rosen and King, today he is left with nothing but shame and death. A brief reminder that life is uncertain. Yet the poem ends on a note of optimism. Browning's own philosophy that God in heaven, God in his heaven at all sides with the world is the note on which the poem goes. The patriot believes that it is God who will reward him according to his will.
Anything not understood here? All clear? So Sagar, can you read the poem for the class? Just let's hear the entire poem. I feel बहुत injustice है poet if we don't read the poem once and enjoy the beauty. Let us read it once, then we dissect it.
It was roses, roses all the way. With Margaret meets in the path like that. The house roots seemed to heave and sway. The church choirs came, such flags they had, a year ago once. The air broke into a mist with waves. The old ones roamed with a crowd and cried. Had I said, would hope where noise repaired? But give me a sun from yonder skies. They had answered. Afterward, what else? Alas, it was I who gave at the sun, to give it my loving sense to be. Not man could do it, have I left undone, and you see my harvest whatever. This very day, no idea. There's nobody on the house of God, just a passing through at the window said. For the rest of the site is all allowed, and the shambles will forget it. But the very supports for right. I go in the rain and more than needs. A rope at both my wrists behind. And I think by the fingers for it beats, for the flame whoever has a mind. Stones at me for my tears. Thus I entered and thus I go. In trance, people have dropped down dead. Paid by the word, what thou spoke, oh, me. For my question, now instead. This God shall report. I've seen this.
Yeah, we're discussing it. I'm just letting you swallow the poem in. Page number 10. Question 8, correct? Yes. Let's dissect the poem now. Try to understand what the Patriot is saying. He's telling us something. He's narrating a sequence of events. साथ में उसके emotions को भी समझने की कोशिश करो. Then answering will become very easy. So he is saying, page number 32. It was roses, roses all the way. He's describing the road on which he is walking. Create a mental image. With myrtle mixed in my path like mad. Myrtle is another flower, white color. The house roofs seem, the terraces. Underline house roofs and write terrace. Underline myrtle and write small white flowers. Seem to heave and sway. Heave क्या होता है जब इंसान बहुत वजन उठाता है तो ऐसे करता है ना उफ, that is heave. Sway means move. तो एक personification है कि जो terrace था, it was like overburdened with the weight of people on it and it was moving with the weight. The house roofs seem to be moving with the number of people on the terrace. Are you getting a mental image? ऐसे उफ करते ना लोग. भरना क्योंकि बहुत वजन है. The church spires flame. Church spires are the top of the roof. You have one pole on top of the top dome of the church. It was looking like it is in flames because it was decorated with flags. So many flags कि ऐसे लग रहा था आग जल रही है. Manuel को था Such flags they had a year ago on this very day. On this very day seems to be a very big exaggeration or a huge coincidence कि भाई एक साल पहले exactly 21st of June. अरे हाँ 21st June को क्या होता है? योगा. See outside. Yeah. It is the longest day. What is the time? What is the time? 7:03. अभी भी बाहर रोशनी है, अंधेरा नहीं हुआ है.
Ma'am, there is no sunlight over here. It's all dark.
Yes. धीरे धीरे करके summer solstice आता है. Between one day and the other day, there is hardly difference of few minutes. तो ऐसा नहीं कि कल 5 बजे अंधेरा हो गया था, आज 7 o'clock तक रोशनी है. Nothing in nature is drastic. Everything is gradual. So anyway, yoga day. That is why yoga day, because it is summer solstice. That's why. You will be much alert today. Yes, ma'am. And the shortest day? Date 22nd December. Now second paragraph he is explaining something different. The air broke into a mist with bells. You see, those days they did not have WhatsApp, but they used to have bells on top of the churches. Anything happy happened, they would ring the bell. Anything dangerous happened, they would ring the bell. Ding 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 ding. Dong dong. It's a huge bell. वो स्पाइडरमैन में नहीं था, उसके ऊपर वो ब्लैक सब चढ़ जाता है, तो वो चर्च का बेल बजता है, तो वो वाइब्रेट होके निकलता है. दैट बेल. अच्छा वो वाला. So is it ding 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 ding? ये तरफ मंदिर का घंटी बजता है. So he is saying so many bells were ringing, it was as if the air has become full of mist. Moisture. Yeah, moisture. जैसे पानी वाइब्रेट कर करके ऐसे झाग सा बन जाता है, like that. So all exaggeration. Church spire मतलब ये अपना चर्च, ये इसके ऊपर जो टावर एक वो रहता है ना, स्पायर. डोम के ऊपर का डंडी. हाँ, डोम की डंडी. The old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. ऐसे लग रहा था कि the walls of the church which have become so old, they are going to now crack. They are going to cry because so much is happening. Had I said, now this students are not able to understand. So understand this 3 lines. Had I said, the protagonist is saying, I will not say the poet is saying because it cannot be the poet. It has to be somebody else because ye aadmi to mar gaya na. So had I said, protagonist, the hero, had I said, good folk, dosto, mere noise repels, but give me your sun from yonder skies. They had answered, and after that, what else? He's saying, had I told these people, give me your share of the sun, they would have happily given that to me and they said, okay, now next, what do you want? They were that hell-bent on pleasing me, doing something great for me. Now this sun is almost like a boyfriend tells his girlfriend, no, मैं तुम्हारे लिए चांद सितारे ला सकता हूँ. Like that. They would give me their share of the sun. Understood the meaning of these 3 lines? Write it. तुम्हारे हिस्से का. Write the meaning of these 3 lines. दोस्तों, मित्रों, hate. Repels, hates. In science, we have done opposite poles of the magnet attract each other, like poles repel. कि सिर्फ आवाज से मुझे खुश करने की कोशिश मत करो यार, अपने हिस्से का सूरज दो मुझे. तुम्हारे हिस्से का, your share. Now narration of the past is over. With 3rd paragraph, something new is happening. Anyone in this class wants to say something, they will have to raise their hands. Yes. Where is it? Which line? Second para, second line, fourth word. Rock. Move.
Another sentence for that. To make it happen.
Yeah, so right now they are moving. They rock. Ships rock, no?
I'm just shaking.
नहीं खत्म होगा इस तरीके से तो चैप्टर. जितना मैं बता रही हूँ पहले उतना लिखो और मुझे आगे पढ़ने दो. Alack, it was I who leaped the sun at the sun. In the 3rd paragraph, he is not narrating the incident anymore. Now he is saying what led to a change in the reaction of the people. Unnecessary चीजों को पूछ के necessary चीजों को वो कर रहे हो. जैसे WhatsApp ग्रुप पे बोलते हैं ना कि ये सब unnecessary मैसेज मत भेजो, necessary मैसेज फिर डिलीट हो जाता है. What is the meaning of rock? मैं moving लिखूं कि मैं broke लिखूं, वो इतना important है ही नहीं. जो important है वो मैं बता रही हूँ, उस चीज को सुनो. 3rd paragraph में he is narrating what led to the change of the attitude of the people. इस चीज को लिखो. लिखते नहीं हो तुम लोग, सिर्फ ऐसे सुनते रहते हो. राइट? जहां पे पैराफ्रेज लिखा है ना, वहीं पर ये चीजें लिख लो, क्योंकि ये सब पैराफ्रेज ही है. ये ओवरव्यू ऑफ द पोएम है. Ishmit, right? In the 3rd paragraph, the protagonist is telling us not the narration of the events of what happened last year, but he is telling us what led to the change of the attitude of the people of the town. Likho. नहीं है वॉल्यूम. और मैंने बोला ना जहाँ पे पैराफ्रेज लिखा है वहां पर लिखो. Good. Learn to follow instructions, children. Volume, paraphrase. Volume. Volume. In the third paragraph, the protagonist of the poem is telling us not about the events of what has happened the last year, the previous year, but is telling the reader what led to the changes in the attitude of the people of his town. ड्रामेटिक मोनोलॉग मतलब जो प्रोटैगनिस्ट है वही तो बोल रहा है और तो कोई बोल ही नहीं रहा है, किसी के बारे में नहीं बोल रहा है. The dramatic monologue doesn't mean he cannot talk about somebody. The point is he is the only one talking. There is nobody else in the poem talking. Dramatic monologue. Who is talking in the poem? Anyone else? So it's a monologue. He's getting very dramatic, painting all pictures, aisa hua, exclamation marks. Dramatic monologue. Yeah. Change in attitude of the people of his town. So now what he's saying, alack, alack means alas. It was I who leaped at the sun. Leaped at the sun is a metaphor for saying that it was I who aimed very high, who had great expectations of these people. He's blaming himself. He doesn't seem to be a criminal-minded person. For anything that happens, he's blaming himself. He's not blaming others. He's a humble person. To give it my loving friends to keep, not man could do have I left undone. And you see my harvest what I reap. This very day, now a year is run. He's saying, the mistake I made is I trusted my friends. I let them decide whatever for me. I had faith in them that they will believe in me. But can you see? He's addressing the reader. Can you see what is my harvest? Can you see what I have reaped? I am not in the benefit. I am in a deficit. It is almost like Mahatma Gandhi saying, I did everything. What did I get? Bullet. Mahatma Gandhi बनने का फायदा? So he is also saying like this, that this is the harvest I reap. तो साथ साथ बोलते क्यों रहता है? तो मेरे को डिस्टर्ब नहीं होता है क्या? नहीं तू आके यहाँ पे बोल, मैं बीच में बात करते रहती हूँ, चलेगा? Shall I move on to the fourth paragraph? Any doubts up to here? Pratik हाथ पीछे लो. Alas, बोला already. Alas. There is nobody on the housetop now. Paragraph 4 onwards, he is describing the scene of what is happening now. First and second paragraph, he was describing what was happening then, previous year. Now, fourth and fifth paragraph is a description of what is happening now. Likho. In paragraph 4 and 5, in paragraph 4 and 5, the narrator is describing to the reader what is happening now what is happening now and how different it is from the previous year, although it happens to be on the same day itself. Although it happens to be on the same day itself. Can you read for the class?
In paragraph 4 and 5 is the description of what is happening now and how different it is from the
पूरा एक
previous-
phrase खा गया. The narrator is telling to the reader, तुमने बोला ही नहीं. Someone who has written properly, yes.
Paragraph 4 and 5, the Patriot is describing to the reader what is happening now and how different it is from the past this year, although it happens to be on the same day.
Happened. Not the patriot, the narrator. Shall I proceed? There is nobody on the rooftops now. So this is a juxtaposed to how it was earlier. Just the palsied few at the window set. Palsied are people who are paralyzed, too ill to move. Underline palsied and write people who are paralyzed, too ill to move. Is the word palsied there in the volume?
Yes, ma'am.
You can write the meaning there. So just a palsied few at the window side, because the paralyzed people generally sit at the window only. Na? For the best of the sight is all allowed at the shambles gate. Now why is nobody inside their house? Because they want the best view. And where is the best view? At the shambles gate. I explained to you what is shambles. Or better yet, by the very scaffold's foot, I throw. Scaffold is the stage. The best view is at the gate. Better than that is at the foot of the stage, scaffold. But you have to use the terminology of the textbook. Don't write stage or all these things. Scaffold, shambles, use these words. This paragraph is simple. Paragraph 5. I go in the rain and more than needs, a rope cuts both my wrists behind. More than needs means it is not really required to tie my hand. I'm not running away anywhere. But he knows this. The people don't know this. They have tied his hands. They have no faith in him. He is expecting them to have faith in him. But they have no faith in him. They have tied his hands. Also, let me tell you this paragraph. Now write it in the paraphrase. In paragraph 5, the poet Robert Browning, in paragraph 5, the poet Robert Browning has tried to recreate a similar scene to crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Should I write it?
Only Jesus.
Now the Catholics have a God named Jesus Christ who was born on 25th of December. That is why they celebrate Christmas. the Jew and Christian, what we see in Merchant of Venice, was also prevalent here because Jesus Christ was a Jew and the king at that time was a Christian. Or am I saying it the other way around? Other way around. So the king was a Jew and Jesus Christ was not a Jew. So then his followers are the Christians, Christians. Okay? So they believe Jesus Christ was a carpenter actually. Carpenter, lakdi ko ghisne wala, furniture banane wala. So they believed that he had done very bad and similarly his hands were tied. He was carrying a cross and he was taken there and then his hands were nailed to the cross. One hand here and both the feet here. And then the cross was erected. And he was like this for 3 days. And then he died. That was a Friday. That is Good Friday. When Jesus Christ died. Then after a few days, he came back out of the cave alive. That is Easter. Easter. Now at that time, when Jesus Christ was crucified, this nailing and all is called crucifixion of Jesus. When he was crucified, he said at that time on the cross, they had a crown of thorns and he was bleeding and all that. Oh Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Something similar is being created here because his wrists are tied and he's bleeding. He has been pelted with stone and his forehead is bleeding. He's walking to the shambles. The people are there. It's raining. He's crying. But he believes himself to be honest. So it is a kind of reminiscent of crucifixion. Clear? Shall we proceed? Remembering. I go in the rain and more than needs, a rope cuts both my wrists behind. And I think by the feel, my forehead bleeds. Because his hands are tied, he cannot do this and say, oh, blood. But from the feel of it, it seems as if his forehead is bleeding. For they fling, whoever has a mind, stones at me for my years misdeeds. Now this is where the reader is really getting confused. मतलब पूरा साल कोई गलती करता रहा और अब तुम जाग रहे हो, oh, he has done wrong, let's kill him. So that is even more confusing because what he did good, poet did not explain. What he did bad, poet did not explain. And then when it is a year's misdeeds, then even it is even more perplexing to the reader. What?
Narrator's mistake or what?
Yeah, it's his misdeeds. The patriot's misdeeds. Misdeeds means wrongs, sins, errors, galtiyan. Now, the 6th paragraph is a completely different tangent. In the 6th paragraph, there is an optimistic note. Up till now in the poem, it has been a pessimistic note, something negative. But now, the narrator talks to God and says that he will give me my right place of justice. Thus I entered and thus I go. In triumphs, people have dropped down dead. Even those people who have been victorious in life, they have also died. So I am also dying. Paid by the world, what dost thou owe me? God might question. Now instead, it is God shall repay. I am safer so. So when God will ask me, I will feel safer with God because the Christians believe that when a person dies, his soul goes and God asks him, so what good have you done and what bad have you done? If you have been doing some crime to earn money for your family, it's not justified. It's an evil you did. In the human world, we think, हाँ तो मैं अपनी family के लिए कर रहा हूँ ना. भगवान की नजर में वो पाप है. Wrong is wrong. Guna. Clear? Let's read the poem silently and try to understand if there is something that you don't understand.
explain the first line of the sixth paragraph.
लोग आते हैं लोग आगे four people talk. Let's take it one at a time. Yes, what do you want to say? Even those who have not committed any crime, all the saints, they also die. Yes.
Landlord sixth paragraph third line last part.
Christians believe that when a person dies, his soul has to stand at the gate which leads to heaven and hell. I think Muslims also believe like that. You have to stand there and you will be given Jannat or Dozakh.
No.
And Hindus also believe that once you die, the soul has to either go to Swarg or Nar. Yes.
Yeah.
Now the Christians believe that the soul, God will ask the soul, क्या करके आया? अच्छा किया, बुरा किया, हिसाब किताब. And then on the basis of that, you are given heaven or hell. So this one line or one word cannot be separated from the rest. You have to see those last three lines in a totality, where he is saying that when God will ask me, I will not fear hell because I have done no wrong. When God will question me, my answer will justify a heaven for me. Clear? But what do you want to ask?
Last number.
बताया नहीं.
What word does not describe the good?
ताकि आप सोचो. भाई आपका
A year ago, he had entered the same streets and now he's going out of it.
Ma'am,
yes, Swastika, Akanksha.
ma'am, what is the meaning of scaffold's foot?
The foot of the stage where the guillotine has been put up. Na?
What is the meaning of throw?
गर्दन रखी हुई इधर कटने के लिए तैयार. जैसे बोलते हैं ना सूली पे लटका हुआ हो, तो यहाँ पे सूली नहीं लटकती, यहाँ पे his head is on the gallows.
Sway का मतलब क्या है?
Sway, move from side to side.
Rock concept.
Rock is more aggressive, something that can cause the building to collapse. Sway is more like pleasant. Crime scheme. ABA. Figure of speeches. First line. First line. That is what, yeah, repetition. See, the poem is full of figure of speeches. Let us mark that which is most prominent about that sentence. ये क्या हो रहा है? Second, ouch. Paper cut. Alliteration. Line. पूरा paragraph figure of speech होता है क्या? Third line.
Personification.
Very good. Personification as per पूरा poem में है. Fourth line.
Second line.
Alliteration. How repetition? No beta. Fourth line की बात हो रही है. Flames and flags is the same word.
Alliteration.
Alliteration. Fifth line.
Ma'am, is it a metaphor last line?
Hyperbole beta. For it to be exactly on the same day seems like an exaggeration. Let us quickly finish. Then I can give you a break. The entire second paragraph, first line, second line, fourth line, fifth line, hyperbole, full exaggeration. लिख क्यों नहीं रहा है? ससुर आएगा लिखने के लिए टेक्स्ट बुक में। जितना जीनियस है तू, यू विल रिमेंबर टिल बोर्ड एग्जाम। मैं यहाँ पे ब्रेक छोड़ के बता रही हूँ, लिख के नहीं रहा है। मीनिंग ऑफ it is hyperbole actually. Hyperbole. आगे बढ़े?
Yes, ma'am.
Third paragraph, first line, third line, fifth line, hyperbole. First, third, and fifth. Fourth line, metaphor. Fourth line of the third paragraph. Fourth paragraph, nothing. Fifth paragraph, second line, imagery. Sixth paragraph, first line, repetition. First line, go, sorry. Also, entered and go are opposites. Oxymoron. Opposite words, oxymoron.
Ma'am, can you
Opposite
repeat?
thoughts, paradox. Oxymoron.
No, ma'am, which line is oxymoron?
Sixth paragraph, first line.
Oxymoron.
What is anti-ICSE?
And in cases money maker. Paradox is opposite thoughts. Oxymoron is opposite words. And sixth paragraph, fourth line is inversion, because it is not in the proper prose order. This is known as a poetic order. Inversion.
Second line is alliteration.
हाँ ठीक है. You will do the question answers of Patriot for homework. Let's take a 5-minute break. Then we do the next one. Okay. Are my books still here?
Yes, ma'am. Not because of substance.
पहले दिन में आया नहीं था, उसी दिन बुक चोरी हुआ, दिमाग में नहीं इसका मैसेज। ये वेट बजा के
Everyone's basically
ये फर्स्ट वाले सब में यूज करते हैं। मुझे पता सच्चाई क्या है, किसका लेके अरे फोन लेके तो लेके गया, फोन लेके तेरा भरोसा नहीं है भाई। नेट आप चलने के लिए इसका भरोसा नहीं है, किसी का वो इसका है यार। नेट बाबा
अच्छा बाबा
मजा आया ये देखो नहीं कहने की नहीं कहने
अच्छा वाला
बाबा नहीं है मुझे
देख ले मैं तू बोले
चाचा चौधरी
देख बोल रहा था
मेरी फोटो दिखा रहे
मुझे भी बोलिए वो हॉकी में अरे
अरे करूंगा नहीं करूंगा होता है मेरा दिमाग मेरा पागल ने बोल दिया अरे मेरे दोस्त से कैमरा नहीं है क्यों हल्के ब्रेक में यूज कर रहे हैं ब्रेक में भी आ मेरी हाईटेक नहीं कैमरा के वजह से अरे प्रणाम आजा आजा यहाँ मार के देगा हेलो हाँ इधर है ना देखो कुछ बता टीवी पे अरे यार पहले बैठिए
सॉरी मैंने मेरा एक फोटो स्टोरी पे ये
In the volume 1, you have a topic articles. Page number 76. Go through the first page number 76. 76, write today's date on top. Akanksha, page number 76, beta.
Yes, ma'am.
Start reading.
Ma'am, 76 of volume 1 or volume 2?
Articles, volume 1, beta.
Yes, ma'am. Articles. Articles are words that combine with a noun to indicate the degree of definiteness, specificity of the reference being made by the noun. The articles in English are the definite articles the and the indefinite articles a and an. The use of the definite articles imply that the speaker assumes the listener knows the identity of the noun's referent. The use of an indefinite article implies that the speaker assumes the listener does not know the identity of the referent. Indefinite articles a and an. A and an are the indefinite articles. They refer to something not specifically known to the person you are communicating with. A and an are used first before nouns that introduce something or someone you have not mentioned before. I saw an elephant this morning. I ate a banana for lunch. Second, when talking about your profession, I am an English teacher. I am a builder. Use when the noun you are referring to begins with a consonant. Use an when the noun you are referring to begin with a vowel, a, e, I, o, u. For example, an attitude, an eagle, an ice cream. Definite article the is used first when you know that the listener know or can work out what particular person think we're talking about. The apple you ate was rotten. Did you lock the car? Second, when you have already mentioned the thing you're talking about. She's got two children, a girl and a boy. The girl's 8 and the boy's 14. Third, to talk about geographical points on the globe, the North Pole, the equator. Fourth, to talk about rivers, oceans, and seas, the Nile, the Pacific, the English Channel. Fifth, before certain nouns, when you know there is only one of a particular thing, the rain, the sun, the wind, the world, the earth, the White House, etc. Zero article. We usually use no article. First, to talk about things in general. People are worried about rising crime. Inflation is rising. Second, when talking about sports, my son plays football. Tennis is expensive. Third, before uncountable nouns, when talking about them generally. Information is important to any organization. Coffee is bad for you.
Relevant, right?
The nouns reference.
The use of an indefinite article implies that the speaker assumes the listener does not know the identity of the referent. Referent means the person or the thing or the object that is being referred to. Referent. Any other doubts up to here? Can we read further?
Yes, ma'am.
Claudia? Neither पढ़ा ना उसने। Shall we start doing the assignment then?
Yes, ma'am.
Cover the answers, solve the assignments in your textbook, and then compare your answers with the given answers.
Ma'am, what are we doing right now? I got disconnected.
Articles, page number 77.
We have to solve them.
First, do the solved exercise. Compare your answers and tell me how many wrong you got.
Okay. Ma'am, page number 77, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Do you remember next class also to sit one on a bench? Yes. And generally read the first page.
I always.
How many got all 9 correct? Ishmeet, you got all 9 correct. You also. How many got 1 wrong? I'm still solving. Ajay still solving. Okay. Practice exercise. We discussed. In the meantime, what you can do, Ishmeet, open the vocabulary section of the Patriot and start writing the meanings of the words that you know. What you don't know, leave it. What you know, just leave it. Lies in second.
My good one. Mama did.
Didn't go.
Didn't get.
Didn't get.
Didn't get. Got all correct, you mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Both of you who are sitting on the first bench and in the habit of taking your feet out and sitting. Such children should not sit on the first bench. Yes. Charlie, move on to the practice.
I'm 1 minute. Yeah, I'm 1 wrong.
Next class onwards, you should also wear a mask. All of you. Wear na. If you have one in your bag, wear it. Pratik, solved exercise done. Practice exercise done. The whole thing. No? Solved all the word. Start doing the word meanings of Patriot. Pratik, are you talking to yourself? Why? Read without moving your lips. How many wrong?
I got 2 wrong.
Who, Akanksha?
I got 1 wrong.
Okay. The wrong that you have got, and then when you have compared it to the right answer, are you finding it justified answer or are you having a doubt? कि अरे नहीं मेरा आंसर राइट है यहाँ पे ऐसा
I'm
क्यों लग रहा है?
justified.
It's
Justified.
justified.
Move on to the practice exercise then.
Okay.
Start doing the vocabulary. Don't get into the habit of reading the question loudly to yourself. Then unless you do that in the exam, दिमाग नहीं चलेगा. जो भी आ रहा है इसमें वो लिखो. जिसमें डाउट आ रहा है वो छोड़ दो. So, my God, your surname is Panga? No, seriously that. No.
Ma'am, Ma'am, I even finished the practice exercise. Can we discuss?
In that case, you have to do the vocabulary of the Patriot till everyone finishes the practice exercise. Children, after you have finished the practice exercise, start doing the vocabulary of the Patriot till everyone finishes the practice exercise. Then we'll discuss the answers. Okay? How many are still doing the practice exercise? Please raise your hand. Okay, we are waiting. Okay, we are waiting. The meanings that you know, you write. The meanings that you don't know, leave. Whole point of you wearing a mask is that you should have it on when you talk and cough and sneeze, not remove it. Can we discuss the practice exercise? Is it done?
Yes, ma'am.
First answer.
I was rubbing myself with a towel when I heard the steps.
Perfect. Second.
Ma'am, it will be all step, right?
No, and the. Yes, ma'am. Second.
In the small silence, we all heard a creaking.
Not clear. Clearly pado.
In the small silence, we
Wrong.
all heard.
Wrong.
In the small silence.
Wrong.
In a small silence, we all heard the cracking in the air.
Wrong.
Ma'am, can I tell?
In a small silence, we all heard the creaking in the. In small silence, we all heard the creaking in the.
1 minute, huh?
I mean, in a small
Hello. Yes.
Ma'am, in small silence, we all heard the creaking in the.
No.
I mean, in an ending.
चुप रहे तू अभी बाहर फेंकूंगी तेरे को जा रहे हैं ना टर्न बाय टर्न ज्यादा खुदक रहा है यस नो शौर्या
In a small silence, we all
इन
heard.
बोल रहे हो कि द बोल रहे हो
In a small silence, we all heard the creaking in an attic.
we all heard
The creaking in an attic.
no
Ma'am, here.
no
In a small silence, we all heard a clinking in the attic.
perfect answer say again
In a small silence, we all heard a creaking in the attic.
in a small silence do not talk when the teacher is talking. In a small silence, we all heard a creaking in the attic. Clear? Third answer. वहां पर ब्लैंक ही नहीं है तुम वहां पर द कैसे बोल रही हो से अगेन से अगेन अरे फिर द बोल रही है वहां पे ब्लैंक ही नहीं है और जोर से बोलो क्या है मजाक है ये जोर से है
We saw small beds of grass keeping two small cracks in the hall.
Good. Fourth.
Run after it, come for the school and crack a joke on.
Had cracked it.
And have crack a joke on.
Correct.
Say.
Fifth,
Finding the plant and trees to
correct. Finding the plants and trees took another year and a half. Clear?
Ma'am, for the first one, is it draw and draw?
Yeah. Let's discuss the word meanings of the Patriot.
Page number 156.
Roses, roses all the way.
The street is filled with the
Street full of flowers. Myrtle,
A small white flower.
like mad. Very excited. Eve, bear a heavy weight. Sway, move from side to side. Church spires, top part of the church, very good. Rocked, moved, swayed. Repels, hates. Do not remove the mask while talking. The whole purpose is defined there. Yonder, there, your share. Alack,
Alas.
what is this? Thunder or what is this? There. Leaped at the sun, aimed high.
अभी वहाँ को
Ma'am, can you also see it as being over ambitious?
Absolutely. Not, no. Harvest, reap.
Ma'am, can you repeat for harvest?
Reap, R-E-A-P, reap. Palsied,
paralyzed people not able to move.
paralyzed people. All allow, permitted. Shambles,
The stage.
gallows you can call it.
Candidate side of
The raised platform for the bulletin.
base of the
Scaffold,
Steps.
State of the champion.
bulletin, throw, more than needs, unnecessary, excellent.
Ma'am, can you repeat for trow?
Walk, walk. Let us reach there. You talk too much, beta. Keep quiet. You're not the only one in the class. I have to cater to know when they are writing. I have to wait. I cannot keep answering you at a different pace and the rest of the class at a different pace. And you continuously ask, man, what is it? What is it? It just goes on and on. For since 2 hours you've been doing this. Ma'am, what?
You said for him,
He asked how, I said walk. Fling,
Throw.
Swing the wheel.
throw. They are throwing stones, they are not swinging the stones. Thus I entered
Go enter.
birth to start living. To start living.
Good night.
Thus I go, life ended. Triumphs,
Victory.
victories. What thou owe?
What do they owe?
What do you owe? What's your name, beta? Neil. Start reading page number 149.
Read the extract given below and answer the questions that follows. It was rose of the day. With my back like the
Much
house
louder, much louder. Start again.
The house roof seemed to sway and sway. The church framed such flags they had. A year ago on this very day, the air broke into a mist with bells. The old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. Had I said, good folks, more noise repels. But give me your son from yonder skies. They had answered, and afterward, what else? Who is the speaker of the above lines? Why is his path filled with roses? The speaker is a Patriot, depicted
Means shown.
depicted in Robert Browning poem, The Patriot. According to some critics, he is Arnold means Arnold. Arnold.
149. The speaker is a patriot depicted in Robert Browning's poems. Please sit down. The patriot. According to some critics, he is Arnold of Brescia, who was considered a hero for raising the voice of protest against the rulers, but later met with a tragic death because of the whimsical nature of the common people. He was returned after a great victory, having fought on behalf of the people to earn them their rights. Hence, his path is strewn with roses and myrtle to welcome him. What significance does the line "a year ago on this very day" hold in context to the poem? The phrase brings in a contrast between the patriot's past and present. He was a hero in everyone's eyes as he strived, that means made effort. Strive means made effort to bring in immense joy to his people. But within a span of a year, his deeds were no longer seen as heroic. He was subjected to sharp criticism, and the same people who could promise him the world were now ready to take his life. Thus, the place shows a turn of events and fate in a man's life. Any doubts up here? Which figure of speech is prominent in with murder mixed in my part like that? What does myrtle symbolize here? Alliteration. Myrtle is a tree with white or pink sweet smelling flowers. The myrtle flowers were stewed in the bark of the Patriot, who welcomed him with the fragrance and beauty of victory. The healing essence of joy and adoration is symbolized by the myrtle. You got the symbolism of myrtle?
Yes.
When you see the myrtle, you're imagining something beautiful, and it has a strong sweet smell, so it kind of gets to you. You know, you will not be able to really identify with this, but if you go to a party or something and somebody is wearing a very strong perfume, it gets to your head. Not headache. Not headache.
Yes, medicine.
Not just smell the scent. This is one extreme, this is another extreme. I'm just saying the feeling. It's a concept. You know, it's हिंदी में भी बोलते हैं कि इसका मेरे सर दर्द है, तो मुझे सर दर्द नहीं हो रहा है, and it's not as simple as I can smell this perfume. It's somewhere in between that. So just like the smell can get relief, whether it's a perfume, whether it's a flower, even success can go to your head. Therefore, the symbolism of myrtles. Yes, in alliteration, why should use a similar where like is with. But we want to emphasize the model and not the this. So therefore, model mixed and alliteration. Beauty. Beauty should. So poetry has many interpretations. Roses is for the beauty and myrtles because it is white, it is for respect. Who are they in the following line? What life does the life portray? They had answered and afterward what else? They refers to the common people. It shows how much they love the Patriot. He was a hero beyond compare, for whom they were willing to even achieve the impossible if he requested for it. Yet in the end, we see the same people turn revengeful. They deal with each other to get the best view of the execution of the Patriot. This time, instead of flowers, they built stones on people and made him bleed. It shows how perceptions change and how fickle-minded the common man might be. Okay.
In this story, it does not mean that while people were building
Nonsense. What kind of reception had the speaker received then? How can you say so? He had received a warm, joyous reception from their back. They offered him a grand welcome with flowers, trumpets, and created celebrations. The entire town's description in the first stanza elaborates this. Continue reading.
But when the rooftops were brimming with people with each other in an effort to catch the glimpse of their view. The victory flag seemed to have set the town ablaze in a riot of colors. The church bells rang, heralding the arrival of the hero.
So what is the meaning of heraldic? I mean,
Summary on page number 145. Start.
I'm sorry, I'm
Yes, start.
no, she stands.
Okay,
The poem is a dramatic monologue. A person who is not the poet utters a speech which makes up the poem. The poet speaks through the medium of an imagined character and achieves the effect of a drama. The poet does not reveal the reason for the patriot's execution. According to some critics, Robert Browning was a witness to the rise and fall of many heroes who fought against the oppressive rule of Austria over Italy, 1841 to 49. Here, the patriot perhaps represents Arnold of Brescia, who was considered a hero for raising the voice of protest against his rulers, but later met with a tragic death because of the whimsical nature of the common people. According to many others, the poem has an element of ambiguity, as the reader is unaware why the speaker is considered a hero. Towards the end, he is hanged or beheaded, and again, the reader remains in suspense about his misdeeds and the reason for such hatred towards him by the people. Thus, on reading the poem, readers are forced to ponder upon whether the patriot is innocent or his execution is fair. In both cases, Browning has skillfully drawn the reader's sympathy towards the patriot. His innocence seems justified as he does not hold a grudge against the people, but resigns himself to his fate. He feels that God is always just in his evaluation and would make him feel safe and secure. He is optimistic that his reward will come from the Almighty through the people for whom he tried to reap the best, show their angst and hatred towards him. Critical appreciation. Appreciation. Background. Background. The poem is a dramatic monologue. A person who is not the poet utters a speech which makes up the poem. The poet speaks through the medium of an imagined character and achieves the effect of a drama. The title of the poem is apt. The focus is on the patriot in his days of glory as well as his downfall. His monologue reveals the illustrious past and his plight. A year later, there is a sharp contrast between his tumultuous welcome and the jeer and stone pelting he is subjected to a year later. The poem also has a universal appeal, as there are many leaders who face a similar fate across time and place. Themes of the poem: fickle nature of public adulation. Ordinary people are not steadfast in their opinions. They often misjudge a situation or a person, or are misled by others and become whimsical. That is the fate of the patriot in the poem. He was awarded a hero's welcome, and the people were ready to serve him anything he desired. Church bells were rung, flowers were laid on the roads, and the victory flags decorated the town. But just a year later, his good deeds are forgotten. The same people hurl stones at him and make him bleed. The crowd, which promised him anything he desired a year ago, is now gathering to get the best view of his execution. Thus, the central idea of the poem is about the erratic behavior of common people. Second, irony of fate.
1 minute, Rita. You have a question?
Yes, ma'am. But what is the meaning of tumultuous?
Where is it?
Ma'am, in the title, third line, third word. Yes, I'm critical appreciation.
Very grand, extravagant.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Irony of fate. The sharp contrast in behavior of his countrymen over a year, which the patriot faces, exemplifies that one who goes up comes down sooner or later. The life is ironical, is evident when the patriot recalls the day a year ago when the rooftops were crowded with people eager to catch a glimpse of their hero, while currently walking down to the gallows. The rooftops are empty today, as everyone has gathered near the scaffold to get the best view of the execution. They hurl stones at him in place of roses and myrtles offered earlier. He is led to the gallows amidst rain, washing away his dignity and tight ropes cutting into his wrist. There is not a word of praise on any lip except for abuses.
Yes. Browning means a message of faith and optimism in the past. To the patriot, the poem, he depicts how one get the defeat to victory. Is it the spirit of optimism?
No, ma'am. Irony of fate.
I'm second.
Second word.
The sharp contrast in behavior. Second line is the irony. Exemplify the sharp contrast in behavior of this countryman. Over a who's in that? Pradeep is in that. Pradeep, you were doing it, no? No, ma'am. Raj, you were doing it. You were doing it.
Ask him.
Shall we continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Spirit
The
of
sharp contrast in behavior of his countrymen over a year, which the patriot faces, exemplifies that, shows that. Continue with that.
Spirit of optimism. Browning weaves a message of faith and optimism in the poem. Through the patriot in the poem, he depicts how one can turn defeat into victory, sorrow into happiness, and despair into hope. The patriot is subject to extreme detestation, and the people have forgotten all that he tried to bring to them in the past year. But he has unflinching faith in God and his justice. He bears the pain of rejection by the common people with a smile, as he feels that he will be safe and secure in the arms of God.
Okay, we also continue reading. Yoshi.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of detestation?
Detestation. Okay.
Detestation.
Word meaning.
Detestation. Troubles.
Literary devices used in the poem are metaphor. These roses signify people's love and affection. The sun signifies glory, power, and immortality. The harvest represents the consequences he has reaped by his deeds. The rain could signify both a cleansing agent for his soul as he walks to the gallows, bringing out his innocence, or as a downpour to him, or downpour on him, robbing him of his dignity. Allusion. The poet uses a mythological story of Icarus flying high in the sky with the help of wings fixed by his arms by wax. As he neared the sun, the wax melted and fell into the sea. The patriot, like Icarus, was over-ambitious, which led to his tragic downfall. Alliteration. With metal mixed in my path like mad. The church spires flame, such flags they had. In triumphs, people have dropped down dead. Hyperbole. When the patriot asked the people to bring the sun for him, they asked, and afterwards, what else? It is as if they would bring the sun immediately and then bring something even more powerful than that thereafter. Personification. The house roofs seem to be heave and sway. Pathetic fallacy. This involves the attributing of human conduct and emotions to all aspects of nature. It is a kind of personification found in poetic writing that, example, clouds seem sullen, rocks seem indifferent, etc. In the poem, I go in the rains stand for the poet's inner crisis and sadness. And that's all.
Example silently read, page number 150. Now you go. Akanksha, page number 150, 150. Go through the solved example and see if you want to ask me anything. These are the type of questions that will come in the exam. Children, have you written the homework on the last page?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me come back.
What is beside cheer?
Industry.
I'm not understanding this word. Even the page of the book, page of the question part last night. Then they jeered at him while he walked to the gallows buildings.
Teased him. Teased him. Abused him, almost like abused him. Like cursed him. Said bad things. Huh? Allah बुरा बोलना जिसको verbally said things that were wrong. क्या है कविता? Have you got the syllabus for the upcoming exam?
Yes, ma'am. Today I have the exam.
Revision test will be after 10
months. Class 10.
Actually, how much of each Class, can I announce next time we will be doing MOV? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Bring them.
Ma'am, so we have to bring the result text of the MOV.
नॉर्मल मूवी लाने की ओरिजिनल मूवी तो तेरे को भी नहीं समझ आया ओरिजिनल मूवी रहता है ओरिजिनल मूवी
One and two to definitely I will do. I'll try to squeeze three also. But 4 and 5.
Ma'am, best acts. Ma'am, best acts of the movie.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of reconcile?
Reconcile means come to terms with it, accept it. Have you gone through the short examples? Yes. Any doubts? No.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that why is the poet being referred to as a patriot?
Can I have silence, class? Ishmeet? Yes, Akanksha?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that why is the poet here is referred to as patriot? Because patriotic is a person who is very loyal to the nation. So why he is called a patriot?
So, Akanksha, very good question. Because the poem is called The Patriot, as a reader, I am feeling when he was showered with roses and myrtles with love and respect, he must have done something for his country. या तो बोल ले या तो बोलने दे. And then at the same time, when he is punished so gravely for his misdeeds, because the name of the poem is The Patriot, the reader is getting a feeling that he must have done something against his country. Can you think of what he must have done, Akanksha? Shaurya? What would be the opposite of patriotism? He has raised his hand. I have asked him, yes. Now will you let him talk, class?
I'm breaking the rules to do something that is in his view good.
So what would that be?
For treason.
Treason. Crime. Traitor. How about a spy? That is why it is a whole year's misdeed. Making sense, Akanksha?
Yes, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.